for years. These two clubs have given us some of the most electrifying football the world has ever seen. Legendary goals, tactical brilliance, and, at times, something else entirely. Moments when tempers boil over, when tackles go in just a little harder, when the look in a player's eyes tells you this isn't just about points or trophies. And it makes you wonder, maybe it's more than football? Because behind the 90 minutes lies a story of a divided nation, of language and power, of resistance and identity. This is El Clásico, the clash between Real Madrid and FC Barcelona. And to understand the rivalry, you have to understand the relationship between Spain and Catalonia. Before we dive in, if you enjoy stories that go deeper than headlines, hit like, leave a comment, and subscribe to stay updated. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can also buy me a coffee, links in the description. Now, let's get started. The conflict between Catalonia and the Spanish central government is not a recent issue, nor is it limited to clashes on the football pitch. It is a centuries-long struggle that predates the founding of both Real Madrid and FC Barcelona. In the 10th century, the county of Barcelona broke away from Frankish rule, marking the first time Catalonia emerged as a distinct political entity. By the 12th century, it had entered a dynastic union with the Crown of Aragon, gaining its own legal institutions, constitution, and parliament, the Corts Catalans. But everything changed in 1714, at the end of the War of Spanish Succession. Catalonia had backed the losing side, the Habsburgs. When Bourbon forces captured Barcelona, the new king, Philip V, abolished Catalan autonomy. The Nueva Planta decrees erased Catalonia's legal and political systems, banned the Catalan language from public life, and repressed its culture. That defeat on the 11th of September is still remembered every year as the National Day of Catalonia. For the next 2 centuries, the Catalan identity persisted beneath the surface. In 1931, it resurfaced powerfully. The Second Spanish Republic was born, and Catalonia declared itself a republic within it. A new Statute of Autonomy granted the region political self-governance. Catalan became an official language. Hopes were high. But just few years later, Spain descended into civil war. And in 1939, when Francisco Franco's nationalist forces captured Barcelona, it marked not just a military defeat, but the beginning of an era of silence. After Franco came to power, he imposed an authoritarian regime and carried out systematic repression against Catalonia for its support of the Republican side. The use of the Catalan language and cultural activities were strictly restricted, and political institutions were abolished. Even on the football pitch, symbols of Catalonia were not spared. In the early days of the war, on the 6th of August, 1936, Josep Sunyol, the president of FC Barcelona and a member of the Catalan parliament, was traveling near the Sierra de Guadarrama mountains. He was a Republican, a left-leaning intellectual, and an outspoken supporter of Catalonia's right to self-determination. That day, he was captured by Francoist troops and executed without trial. For decades, his name was erased from the club's official records. Today, he is remembered as the Martyr President on the club's official website. This loss, however, was not the end of political interference in sport. In 1943, FC Barcelona and Real Madrid faced off in the semi-final of the Copa del Generalísimo, the tournament named after Franco himself. In the first leg, Barcelona won 3-0 at home. But the regime wasn't pleased. In the return leg in Madrid, just before kickoff, Barcelona players were visited in their dressing room by senior officials from the Francoist regime. The message was simple and terrifying. They should be grateful they were even allowed to play. Implied in that message was a threat, one that hung heavy over the match. What followed was a 1-11 defeat, the heaviest loss in El Clásico history. For Barcelona fans, this wasn't just a humiliating loss. It was a symbol. From that point on, Real Madrid came to be seen as the regime's team, a vessel of central authority. Barcelona, meanwhile, became more than just a football club. It became a symbol of resistance. As Franco's regime tightened its grip, every goal Barcelona scored felt like a small act of defiance. The rivalry between the two clubs had turned into something much more, a mirror of a nation divided by history, power, and identity. When Francisco Franco died in 1975, Spain began a long and difficult transition to democracy. For Catalonia, it was a long-awaited chance to reclaim what had been taken. Autonomy was gradually restored. The Catalan language returned to schools, street signs, and airwaves. In 1979, the Generalitat Catalonia's regional government was officially re-established. For the first time in decades, it felt like a new chapter had begun. But old wounds don't disappear overnight. In the decades that followed, Catalonia grew into one of Spain's richest and most productive regions. Catalonia is the wealthiest autonomous region in Spain. Although it accounts for only 6% of Spain's territory and has a population of around 7.5 million, about 16% of the national population, it contributes 20% of Spain's GDP and approximately 25–26% of its exports. Of these exports, the majority, 65.8% in 2016, were to the European Union, while 35.5% were to the rest of Spain. Tourism also plays a major role, making up 12% of Catalonia's gross domestic product. It became a global cultural hub with Barcelona at its heart. And yet many Catalans continued to feel politically and fiscally restrained. The frustration wasn't only about identity anymore, it was also about fairness. In 2006, a new Statute of Autonomy was passed, recognizing Catalonia as a nation within Spain and granting it greater control over taxation and legal matters. But 4 years later, Spain's Constitutional Court struck down key parts of that statute. The message, to many Catalans, was clear. Madrid still had the final say. By the time the global financial crisis hit in 2008, tensions were already rising. As Spain entered a deep recession, Catalans saw more of their taxes flowing to the central government, even while their own budgets were cut. Protests grew louder. And in 2010, when over 1 million people took to the streets of Barcelona demanding independence, it marked the beginning of something irreversible. In 2014, Catalonia tried to hold a referendum. The Spanish government declared it illegal, but an informal poll went ahead anyway. More than 80% of those who participated voted in favor of independence, though turnout was only about 40%. 3 years later, in October 2017, the regional government tried again. This time, they called it a binding referendum. The Spanish government cracked down hard. In the days leading up to the vote, ballot papers were confiscated, websites were blocked, Catalan officials were arrested. On the day of the vote, images shocked the world. Riot police storming polling stations, beating unarmed voters, seizing ballot boxes. More than 900 civilians were injured. Still, the vote went on. Despite the chaos, Catalan authorities claimed over 2 million people had cast their ballots, with 90% supporting independence. The result wasn't internationally recognized, but the message was impossible to ignore. Later that month, the Catalan parliament declared independence. Madrid responded by invoking Article 155 of the Spanish Constitution, dissolving the Catalan government and imposing direct rule. Carles Puigdemont fled to Belgium. Other leaders were jailed on charges of sedition. Spain's gravest constitutional crisis had just begun, and football, once again, reflected that divide. When Barcelona played, fans waved the Estelada, the Catalan independence flag. They sang protest songs. During the national anthem, they booed. And when the club played behind closed doors in protest of police violence, it wasn't just a football decision, it was a political one. For Real Madrid, the club still seen by many as aligned with the state, the symbolism was just as powerful. When the King of Spain attends a match, it's usually at the Bernabeu. And when a Catalan player like Gerard Piqué expresses support for independence, he's booed even when wearing the Spanish national team jersey. This isn't just about politics, and it's not just about sport. This is about a deeper question of identity, of memory, of who gets to decide what Spain is and what it's not. And that's what makes El Clásico more than a football match. It's a stage where history, conflict, pride, and power all collide. Every pass, every chant, every goal echoes far beyond the stadium. Because for many in Catalonia, in Madrid, and beyond, this is a rivalry that isn't just played on the pitch. It's a rivalry that's been building for centuries. In recent years, the calls for Catalan independence have grown quieter. A combination of legal repercussions, political shifts, and economic realities has led to a more cautious tone, both from leaders and the public. While the desire for greater autonomy still exists, the momentum for full independence has slowed, replaced by ongoing debates about identity, governance, and the future of Spain as a whole. But history doesn't simply fade. Each time FC Barcelona and Real Madrid meet, it's more than just a football match. It's a reminder of centuries of tension, resilience, and unresolved questions that go far beyond the pitch. If you found this story as complex and compelling as we did, leave us a comment and share your thoughts. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you'd like to support us making more content like this, consider buying us a coffee. The link's in the description. See you in the next one.